Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Sass and Surrender. I'm one of your hosts, Drew, or Drew Spanks on FET.
And I'm your other host, Fly, or I Fly Away on Bet.
And we have a really special, awesome, unique, cool, funny, amazing, the best guest on today with us, Bratty Scientist, or Poppy.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here with y'all. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome.
He's going to say every guest is the best guest.
Okay, well, I'm
you tell all your kids they're your favorite. That's what you do to win all the brownie points.
Thanks for ruining that for me, because I was feeling really good about myself.
But yes,
you're the best guest.
You are the best, like the best ever.
I'll take it.
So today we are having her on. She's going to tell her spanko story, like her origin story, and then we're going to dive into our topic. So tell us, how did you get into spanking?
Oh my gosh, I am definitely one of those lifelong dictionary spankos.
Hardwired. Yeah.
I was, when people ask me and they're like, what's the first kind of memory I have? I had a kindergarten teacher who read us The Whipping Boy.
My grandmother had that on video.
I'm like, ooh, there was a video?
It was some really bad early 90s movie, but I watched that all the time, baby.
I was a big reader, and I definitely would and it was not subtle at all, but I already knew then that I was different, I think, because I looked around everybody else was just kind of enjoying it, and I was frozen because I was like, oh God. And then I would read it in the reading corner all the time, sneak another look at the whipping boy.
Not the whipping
whipping boy, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find you the movie. They do spank him in the movie.
Oh,
not a ton, but they do one scene I remember where they it's the stick thingy and the whipping boy.
When is that movie from? Like the 70s?
I don't know. My grandmother
rated G, probably.
My grandmother, I think it was early 90s. I'll have to look it up.
No, I know
my Grammy had it on VHS. I used to watch it all the time at our house.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Squirrel.
I was just going to say that
as we're gonna fitting for our topic.
Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. No. So I was a big book person. So I knew all the books and then the movies. I actually, again, such a degenerate spanko. I started collecting. I had a VHS tape where we had rented Blue Hawaii with Elvis. My mom had.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite movie spankings. And as soon as then I got the TV guide out and I was like, when does this come on at 2 a.m. and on Turner Classic Movies? So I started recording all the scenes. You got the McClintock, got the True Grit spanking, and I had a VHS tape where I collected these spank. This was
pre-spanking tube, right?
Pre-spanking tube, and I was I'm a big reader, so I then kind of fell down the kind of the fan fiction.
Oh yeah,
because you can get really good kinky spanky stuff on the fan fiction side. So I read and write, and then I guess I was overseas for many years, so I only got my first real adult spanking as in last September. Oasis was my first event.
What country were you in overseas?
I was all over the place. So I played professional sports in France. I did one of my degrees there and one in the UK. And then I do global health work. So I spent time in Central Africa, South Africa, and about 6-7 years in South Asia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so all over the place, but
too busy for spankings.
It's none of those things. I tried, believe me. I tell these stories where I especially when I was out in the jungle and stuff like that. I had a French doctor that and we were, didn't have electricity. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and he really gave really toppy vibes. He was really surly.
You're like, man, if I really messed up this diagnosis or something, I should be punished. And he's like, I guess.
Yes, and he did. I missed my one chance actually with him because I like to when we were dealing with really hard stuff. We were, he's a pediatrician. I was doing a peds fellowship, and it's kids with malaria and measles outbreak. It was very, very sick kids, and we had low resources. So our jobs were stressful.
Yeah.
And so you find your little outlets, and mine was just writing the hell out of Dr. Arno. And I would hide his pen because it drove him berserk. So he'd go out and check on a patient, and I just move it somewhere. And I came in one day and I'm so mad I missed my chance because he gave me he would say little threats sometimes, and I could just tell he was exasperated with me constantly. And I made it my like point in life to just irritate him to death because it amused me. But I moved to Penn somewhere and he was just done with it. And he called me into his office. We had like adjoining, offices where we did our exams and stuff. And he was like, come here. And I was like, oh.
You're like, please. You're like, took off your pants.
He was like, where's
there you go.
He's like, where's my
Now's
pen?
the day.
That's another story of that one because we got there, but it was because I sunburnt myself. And he was like, take your pants down and bend over and put cream on it.
Gosh.
Yeah. But anyway, that day, I hit the pen one too many times, and he was like, since you like school supplies so much, he pulled his drawer out and pulled out the ruler. And he was like, here, we can play with this one. That was my chance. Instead, I was like, I'm really sorry. And I ran out the door.
Oh my gosh.
I should have bent over. I had my moment.
Can you imagine?
I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I won't play with it. I won't hide your pen again. And then he was like, he put it back in the drawer. But I was like,
did he ever threaten you again with the same ruler?
Not with that ruler.
Not with that ruler.
No.
Oh, wow.
He threatened me one other time, and I think I hit his flashlight.
No.
And he was so dumb on me. He did like the arm grab, and then he made a threat to me then. And unfortunately, in French, I wasn't thinking as quickly.
Yeah.
So I came up with like 20 sassy replies I could have said like 5 minutes later. So I just instead went quiet and realized that I'd maybe pushed it a little too far. But he loves that. Toppy types love that stuff. They can say,
hey, if he's threatening to spank you with a ruler.
Well, in South Asia, too, I feel like caning's big. So, I feel like you could have taken advantage of that somehow.
Yeah.
Sped or something.
Yeah.
Like, officer.
I never had, actually, I did a lot. So I did a lot of work with the military and the police. And there was a guy at the police academy where I taught who was, a colonel or something. And Major Rama. That's right. Major. And he was like hardcore. He terrified me in the way that I'm like, that's hot. And he never gave me a threat, but I like could kind of get away with some micro bratting that I knew. Like you just get the vibes. The vibes in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And professionally, we couldn't do it, but like I knew that there was a big part of him that she probably
would have done it.
Yeah.
I love that, like, even though you weren't able to like get the spanking and stuff that you like desired, you were able to get the bratting.
I got my bratty thrills quite big because there's nothing like getting like a good threat or like a good look where had circumstances been a little different. That was somebody who probably wished very much they could take you over their knees. So I enjoyed that.
I love that. I love that chemistry and tension.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's fun for me.
Back and forth.
And I know like Miss Chris talks a lot about, and a lot of people do in the community, respectful bratting and kind of knowing the limits. And I hope usually I'm pretty good at vibes, and these are people that I've known and not random strangers. And I try not to take it too far, but I do get a kick out of it.
Yeah,
it's a little thrill for me.
For
sure.
So September, your first spanking.
Yep.
Was that with Miss Chris, or who did you tell us more?
So I impulse. This is, again, we're going to talk more about the neurodivergence, but 2 a.m, 2 days before Oasis, I had never engaged in anything. I think I'd made a FetLife account years back that I'd never didn't know anybody, didn't know how it worked.
Crept in the shadows on?
I never even logged back into it. So I was surprised when I came in that I was like, oh yeah, I made that one night. And then never knew what to do with it because I didn't have any friends and I couldn't figure it out really.
Yeah.
And so I Googled spanking party because I was like, one day at 2 a.m, I was just like, I'm tired of not getting spanked. And Oasis was coming up, and literally in like 2 or 3 days, the registration was closed. I begged them. I said, please, it's me. Like, I need this or I'm going to die.
Like, take my money.
Please take my money. And they were like, oh, fine. They were very nice about it, but they were like, never again. But we'll give this one time. We'll help you out. And so I bought a flight, not knowing a soul, not knowing a thing. Got to Oasis, and I wasn't even nervous at all. I was just, like I said, kind of one of those impulse decisions that I was just like, nope, it's time. And then I get to the registration, and I, like, collapse, and I just start, like, crying.
Oh, no.
I think I was just not sadness, not fear. It was just overwhelmed that I'm here. This is going to happen. Like, this is a part of me that I've known has always been there and I never thought could be real.
No, I get that. Walking around when we got here yesterday, like, I didn't cry or anything, but like, I definitely felt that, like, a little bit of that emotion where it's just like, oh, we made it to Gas again.
Oh, yeah, we're at Gas.
We're at Gas.
Oh,
so,
we're at Gas.
We're at a spanking party.
Yeah, so I started crying, and people were like, I was literally having like a little autistic meltdown. And like a bunch of people came over and were super nice to me. And these are people who have been in the scene for a while. And like, so they were like, let's come here, honey. Let's get you registered.
Strangers to you.
Complete strangers to me. And it was like 5 of them.
Wow.
And then they were like, because I wasn't even on the right side of the hotel. I knew nothing. So they got me registered, like literally held my hand, took me to the registration desk, and then got my room switched so I'd be on the thing. And my neighbor was actually Miss Chris. Funnily enough.
Oh, that's funny.
But we got up there and they're like, here, do you want your first spanking? So Rojo spanked me for the first time. And and it was like there's pictures of it on my FetLife, but I was just smiling the whole time. And like, it broke the ice. And then I just kind of dove in. I got a lot of spankings during that weekend. And actually, Miss Chris was probably maybe like the second or third. It was very early on at Oasis. She came rolling in with her cane. And I was like, oh man, that's one that, I had fear of, but that I was also fascinated by. And one of the, my friends I was with was like, ask her to cane you. And I was like, what? I literally just got here like today. I got my first spanking. Like, might be a little early jumping in with the cane. But they're like, no, she's really good. So I asked her and I was like, listen, this is like baby's first spanking, certainly with the cane. And she was amazing. So she actually, she asked me some questions I didn't know the answer to. Stingy Thuddy. Still struggle with that one.
Yeah.
But, I just didn't know what these sensations were. And actually, so she gave me a little baby caning that was nice because I realized that like, oh, I kind of like this, but I also realized this could be very like intense. So she left me kind of wanting more, but not afraid of the cane anymore, especially not with her. But then, since we're going to be talking about it, I think one of the first like real sessions that I had with her was really about me learning the different sensations. So she kind of took me through all of these implements and sensations because what I realized as a person, so I'm ADHD and autism. And ADHD.
Right.
And that's a pretty recent diagnosis for me. I think like a lot of high-masking women particularly. I didn't get my autism diagnosis until like a year ago. ADHD I got in, my last year of grad school, but I went overseas and forgot about it and didn't realize kind of how that would look for me. But one of the things that I struggle with is that I just turn my body off. Like I live so much up here that I told her that first experience that I had where she kind of took me slowly through these different implements and helped explain it to me. It's like a person seeing colors for the first time because I disconnect so much from my body. I didn't really, because a lot of things are overstimulating, they're oversensitizing, like they're uncomfortable. So I just shut things off.
And then
and that's been like a really interesting part of my spanking journey is the way that it's helped me kind of reintegrate with my body. A lot of people talk about dissociation. For me it's like a reintegration. When I get spanked, I get all these sensations that are welcome and grounding for me, and then I feel very much kind of alive in my body in a way that's comfortable for me. So I know we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But
let's
well, and then I went on to some squirrels with some things you said. So a couple things. I think it's so awesome to hear stories about like kind of the community because I felt that ever since, I stepped in, even going into these big events. It's just so incredible for me to hear that there's always these good people that are willing to jump in, even with somebody you don't know. Yep. You have that connection. It's like an instant connection to where you see somebody struggling or you see somebody having like a meltdown and you're all in like you've always known them like all your life. And I think that's just like really, really incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the other thing too is, because we played a little bit before recording the podcast, but I think the biggest thing I see, from bottoms is like speak up. Like when you're playing or having a scene with a top, especially a new top, somebody you haven't played with before, say what you like, what you don't like. Because if you're playing with good tops, which you should be, they're gonna adjust.
Asking.
Yeah. Because like the cane, I mean, like, yeah, that is something that seems like very scary for most people. And like, I don't know, but you can wield it in a way that's like you get to experience it. And it's like trying new food. Like you might not like it. You might like it. You might want to have it a little bit more of it. Like, so if you speak up, like, don't be afraid to try things because you might discover something you like absolutely love.
Yeah. I also think it tells you a lot about the person, and what I would say like to people who are kind of newer in their journey is that, like I said, I had the really good fortune to be able to play with some really, really good experienced tops. And I think one mistake that I kind of had early, I mean, you're just so excited to get spankings. And I've never had
because you've been waiting all your life.
Yeah.
I
got so many great spankings, but one of the things that I didn't know how, now I've learned how to speak up and not be afraid to, give a little feedback, because everybody's likes different things.
Yeah.
And, I know some people are like, oh, I don't like topping from the bottom. But I think communicating like your needs or what's comfortable for you, especially when you're playing with somebody for, first or second time, is really important for both people. But yeah, I think one mistake for me was that some people went a little too hard on implements I'd never played with before. And it didn't put me off, but it made me like think I didn't like things.
Right.
But actually, like, once I'd been reintroduced to them a little bit, and like kind of, because I do have to learn. I mean, that's part of what my process is, I don't like people swinging, from the bleachers on an implement I've never experienced before.
You're right.
Because I don't know what to expect. And so part of what I play with people for the first time, like when we played, is just like kind of like, I want you to show me the implement. I need to look at it. I want to feel it. I want to know what kind of sensation it's going to give. I liked that you kind of pull those out. Let me kind of have a little taste, so that then now I know what to expect from it, and I can kind of enjoy it and play with it a little bit more moving forward, which is nice. But that's important. And I know what we're going to talk about that, but
yeah, no, it is. It's really, I honestly, in this, I've just discovered a lot where it's like, you don't know what you like until you try it. So I'm always like, keep an open mind.
I fully agree. You
just never know. Yeah. I mean, you never know what implement you haven't tried that you might love, might hate.
And things even the same implement, like we have a thinner canes and we have thicker canes, and that are vastly different.
True.
So true.
Well, and same thing, like same thing too, like like one of the biggest like things that changed my life was like learning that I can say no to things. And so like for me it was with food, like different foods that I have never tried, and I just already had this preconceived notion that I don't like that food. But then I realized I've never tried that food, so how can I say I don't like it? So be open-minded, but then if you try something and you don't like it, like, you don't have to keep playing with it always, say no. Or it might be different with a different person.
Yeah, true.
Right.
I try not to there are very few things that I don't know that I have too many things on my, I'm not like a whip person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say that. We're not whip people.
We're not.
I would love to try it, but I don't know. Like,
and it's something that I would potentially explore, like, again, from a curiosity, sensory kind of thing, with a person that I trusted.
And I definitely knows what they're doing.
Definitely knows what they're doing.
Not just like,
that's how I want to
try this whip.
That's how I want to.
Absolutely not.
That's how I want to learn it too. Like, I would love to play with somebody who's like very familiar and knows whips, so that I can be like, well, give me some pointers. Like, sure, it's not just like point and shoot, like, no, there's got to be more to it.
And it's not just like strapping either. Like, it's a lot more like, because you're long distance.
It's
like, teach me, Indiana Jones, something.
Well, I know a guy who's a whip expert, and he does do sessions to like teach people. So I was hoping he would be here, Uncle Eric, and not this time, but if
in the future,
and he does a lot of stuff around the DC area, Philly, and stuff like that. So if y'all are ever,
I've definitely heard his name.
Yeah, no, he's good. I actually did a scene with him and Miss Chris.
Yeah.
Oh. But that's his thing. He's a whippy guy, and
like it.
We didn't do it that time. I said, it would have to be.
But you're open to it.
I think I'm not like part of my journey yet.
Taste
with the awesome person.
Yeah, with somebody awesome in the right like headspace. And when I was ready, I think I'm still early in my journey for that. But
maybe like out on the farm or something. Where you dress up.
yeah, I love a good role play and an outfit.
Good
So
role play.
that's probably if you want to
Go
like
get over the fence, little lady.
You might get me there.
Some
If it comes with an outfit,
Some chaps.
and then you might just get me there.
love
Yeah.
Well, let's
All
jump
right.
into the subject.
Sure.
So our topic for today is neurodivergence and kink.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we got an expert in the field, top
With
of her class,
personal experience.
personal experience,
Yes,
knows what's up.
And a doctor.
Yes, I will say I'm a doctor. This is not my area of expertise medically. However, I do a lot of, it's a personal interest of mine. And as I can say, I can speak to my experiences as a person with ADHD. And it's something that I write about, I read about a lot, and that I think is really important. And I think this has been, for me, kind of starting this journey at a time in my life where I'm also, like I said, more recently diagnosed. It has helped me understand myself better. And I think, I always joke, but I'm not really joking, that, there's a big overlap of folks in the kink space, in spanking and in BDSM, I think, in my experience, that kind of fall in we talked about this before, whether it's an official diagnosis or not. I think it's valid if you identify with, some of the things that, I'm going to talk about. And when I wrote about the love languages, the neurodivergent love languages, I got a ton of amazing feedback from people, both those, with diagnosis. And again, the neurodivergent spectrum is large, and it includes, of course, your autism spectrum, ADHD, OCD, dyslexia, dyspraxia. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few things, but there's a lot of kind of things that fall into that. And a lot of people that, may not have an official diagnosis, you just relate to some of these different things. They might have some sensory sensitivities or food sensitivities, or they might be masking for other reasons. And so I think there's a lot that's useful. And what I learned getting a lot of feedback on that particular piece of writing was how we can relate to each other, not just when we play, but just, I think to other people in this space. I found this community to be, like you were saying, so open, and probably the only place I've ever been able to really unmask and be my most authentic self. And that's so empowering, because I think when you spend a lifetime masking and being afraid of people kind of seeing those like neurospicy parts of you, or like, it's such a relief to just let it go.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I found that, and this is what we're going to talk a little bit more about, that I've gotten so much relief from some of the symptoms that I struggle with my ADHD especially. But I talked about being disconnected from my body and kind of living very much in my head. And for me, and I know y'all are going to talk to Miss Chris later, but she talks about this in her spanking therapy, and I'll let her tell it. But the process that you go through when you're, getting spanked, and just the neurochemicals that are released, it's very calming for me. And so, like I said, I feel reconnected in my body in a calm way. The little weasels that run around, and I always say spanking like closes the browser tabs for me. So it's, I feel like I've always got all these things going on and things talking, da da da. And then there's just quiet and clarity and focus.
Yeah.
I
definitely feel that.
I don't even have to take my ADHD meds, like when I come to these conference where I'm just getting spanked all the time, because
it's like getting a medication.
That's exactly how it feels. And again, not a replacement. But in this context, it's like, one, I don't need to mask. Two, I don't need to like do hard things. I just throw myself over laps and get spanked.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't. You're not working. You're not.
I'm not working. Well, I'm not trying to manage a house. Right.
That's what Spank Me Please too was telling me the other day. We came into gas. We stayed at a hotel the night before, and she came in and she's just like, I just want to get to the hotel, because once I get to the hotel, I can just let go. And I know I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be thinking. Yeah. So it is a release.
It's a release. And like I said, I know that I'm safe to kind of be my kooky little self. Like if I say something silly, you know what I mean? Like I can be a little ridiculous. I can kind of, I definitely, it is encouraged. Like being a bratty type.
Worst case scenario, you get a spanking.
Yeah,
that's
best case scenario.
Best and worst.
And then it's calming. Like I never sleep. Like I struggle to eat some, and it's like, it just calms my body in a way that like, I'm like, is this how normal people exist? Because that's what, for a little while, I feel like calm and focused and just clear and happy and relaxed. And like, that's not something that I feel very often. So it's nice. Yeah.
Well, tell us, so, like we have some experience like in our professions and then also in just our family life with the neurodivergence. But I want you to kind of explain to listeners like what masking is to you, because a lot of people, I didn't know what that term was until, I was involved with neurodivergence and stuff, but it's a really important aspect of all this. So I want to hear what your perspective of what masking is.
That's a really good question. And I know masking looks different to different people. I think, especially I'll speak for myself here when you're growing up and, for me, the ADHD is probably the more visible symptom. And it's like I said, I was really shocked when I got my autism diagnosis because my brother is autistic, my dad also, but it kind of looks typical on them, that they're, they'd struggle in social situations. My brother didn't like a lot of foods or was very sensory sensitive, memorized train tables. And, my dad too was like a numbers algorithm kind of person. And I didn't look like that. It still doesn't to me, we know now because unfortunately we haven't had a lot of research for very many years, looking at kind of women and AFAB folks because it does present quite differently. And even the diagnostic criteria, they're needing to update because it looks different.
I have a friend with ADHD and she said that it took her a long time like it was close to high school that she finally got her diagnosis, because in women we're expected to kind of put on a performance and be perfect and do all these things. So usually with women, ADHD ends up coming out as high anxiety, being a perfectionist. And so you're getting good grades, you're doing well in school. And so no one thinks anything is wrong, but really inside you're like losing it all the time.
Oh, for sure. I got my diagnosis and that's, I can't remember what the ages are for ADHD. It's something like 6 for boys. For autism, it's like 8 or, it's probably earlier now. And it's around 40 for women. It's a massive difference. And that's the truth. I mean, people thought, she talks a lot. I mean, I think every report card I ever got was, you're a great student. Poppy's a great student, but she talks
all the time.
She talks a lot, or I have a lot of energy, and it was kind of channeled. But that was my masking, right? And we mask a lot. And I, again, speaking for myself and for other women, especially, or AFAB folks, like. One, it's the societal and cultural expectations of behaving, sitting still. Like, boys get up and do ninja kicks, and girls, it's in their head a lot of times. Like I said, it's browser tabs that are open. You're thinking,
and it's expected of boys to get up and do ninja kicks.
Like, they're just being boys, right? And so
boys being boys.
To me, masking also looked like competence. And actually, I had a quote, and I don't have it with me, but and this is why I beat myself up when I feel like I do something stupid, like I did today. But because, because those kinds of things go on, and I had to learn. I mean, my brain often moves faster than I'm able to kind of to hold in some of those thoughts. So especially when I'm unmasking, I speak more than I think, and I have to, and then I'm worried, I look stupid, or I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. And it's like, those are the things that you learn to hold in when you mask, right? And so you don't, because competence is the biggest mask you can wear, and perfectionism and, excelling in all of these things. And it takes such a toll. I mean, I think, like I said, when I finally got my autism diagnosis, it was because I was burnt the hell out. Like I had run on fumes for so many years trying to, and everybody, that's the thing. They were like, nothing's wrong with you because look at all the things you've done. You're so successful. Even when I went in to get my, a diagnosis, it was like, oh, well, you went to medical school. You went to all these great, universities. Obviously there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, do you know what I had to do to make that look, like I said, effortless perfection?
Imagine. Yeah.
I didn't sleep. I was constantly and what the tool I used, and this is what I've had to break down a lot in therapy and even now, is that it was this part of me that just shit talked myself to. I used fear and shame on myself of looking dumb, of being imperfect, and I used that to motivate me. And that was how I overcame some of the executive dysfunction until it just didn't work anymore. And I talked to you guys a little bit about this, and this is where kind of that discipline part of spanking comes in for me. Because yes, the physical part of spanking is amazing for me. And then sometimes like I do get stuck. Executive dysfunction is a problem for me. Starting tasks, transitioning between tasks, simple things like walking out the door. Can be hard for me to do. And I need like somebody to tell me to do something or to kind of like give me the external motivation that's like, this is what I expect you to do this, and then I'll do it for somebody else when I can't do it for myself sometimes.
Do you find find that like the reminders and the discipline of it, like telling you to do it, is enough, or does it need to be reinforced with the spanking?
For me, I think it needs to be reinforced. I need there to be both like positive consequences, like
carrot
it's the reward,
stick.
Carrot and stick. And I think like sometimes it's enough. It depends on how deep. When I get into those really bad freezes where again, I've already kind of gone down that shame loop of why the hell can't you just do this once? Can't make a phone call for 3 months to make an appointment, right? Something silly. That's a 30-second task. It should not be that hard. And then I put it off and I like avoid it, and then I beat myself up over it. And like sometimes it's not enough when I get into those cycles just for someone to say to do it. Sometimes it is. Other times it's like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. First, sometimes I need help to break down the steps. It's like, okay, I need the preparation of, okay, we're gonna do this week, or you're gonna do it tomorrow, we're gonna do it today. And then, you're gonna do it, and then yay you. I mean, I'll do a lot for a good girl. Praise King, good girl goes a long way for me. And then if not, like I need to know those consequences are real. And I think that's
consistency.
Consistency is
That's what I say.
That's
when all the girls tell me I'm mean, I just say I'm consistent.
There you go. So I think there's like a part of that that's really helpful. And I know I got a little off topic there, but yeah, I mean, that's masking looks different to different people. And I think it definitely is, it's censoring yourself to fit into a mold that society can deal with. So when you smile and you don't really feel like smiling, or like when something is really just like uncomfortable, like the lights are too bright. I only now like realize, like, I mean, I always knew certain sounds, certain lights, and now I don't have a problem when I'm like, at a spanking conference to be like, hey, that light's too bright. Can we turn that off? Or can you close the blind for me? Or actually, this music is overstimulating to me. Or I like people to talk to me. So the tops that I play with, I'm like, it actually calms me to hear voices. So like, please keep talking to me so I don't feel alone when I'm being spanked. I know that sounds silly, but I need that feeling of connection. So I think there's all these little things I'm learning about that I'm like, yep, that's very neurodivergent, but I am okay expressing it and asking for the things I need. And I don't think I've ever had someone refuse to make me more comfortable.
Yeah.
So
notes for Poppy's Toppies, you know what I'm saying?
Poppy's Toppies.
I love that. Poppy's Toppies. Oh, okay. I'm gonna start collecting them in a little group. How bratty is
like
that?
Pokemon.
Yeah, here you go. You get a little sticker that says Poppy's Toppies.
I love it.
That's
I
really
love
cute.
stickers.
I love stickers,
especially if they're
too.
scratch and sniff. That's great.
Ooh, yes.
So would you say that masking is like, I don't want to say being fake, but like being disingenuine or just not yourself, like just to meet a societal norm or like somebody else's expectations?
Yeah, and I think sometimes you don't even realize.
Yeah.
When you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just going to say, like, that's not, I mean, it's much more common, obviously, and much like neurodivergent people obviously have to do it a lot more, but like, that happens every day, non-neurodivergent, neurotypical people have this, like, you got to go to work. I'm a teacher. Like, I have to get up there and teach every day, even if I feel like crap. Like I say all the time, like, I don't work in an office where I can just go, like, huddle at my desk and, like, take cold medicine all day. Like, I have to get up there, feeling crappy, whatever, and teach to
wrangle the students.
There you go.
Golly. It's wild.
It is hard. And that's absolutely true. I think we all learn to do a certain amount of masking. And I think, like I said, I didn't even realize how much masking I was doing and how much energy that was taking away from me until I just said, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It's an explicit podcast.
Fuck it. I'm not doing that too. So I'm like, if I don't want to wear pants, I'm not like, I'm going to stay, at home and not wear comfy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like feel like I have to, because I think they say, again, for women besides just like, it can be very physical masking as well. Because people let you kind of get away with being a little weird if you're pretty.
Okay.
So
I feel that all the time.
Yeah. And so there's like a big thing, especially amongst autistic women, where there's almost like one of the hyperfixations is beauty, like beauty tips and makeup and hair. And
because it makes them fit in more kind of.
Yeah, because like I said, you can be a little bit weird. You can like, and if you're just, it's the manic pixie dream girl thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you can, when you kind of fit certain molds. Okay. So I didn't know that. And because unfortunately I did not get the beauty like hyperfixation. I'm like, I don't know how to wear makeup, but that's a big thing. So it can be physical, and it's certainly, like I said, competence. And for me, it's like I collected like achievements, like Girl Scout badges, like degrees and like awards and fellowships and like all of the things, because I thought of all these prestigious things are going to make me like worthy to be in this place. And then they're not going to give me a hard time if,
So it was like a mask.
It's a big mask, 100%.
Wow.
And that was a really hard one for me to deconstruct, to say like, I'm not that I didn't enjoy all those, like I loved the things that I did, but I sometimes did them, like I said, almost in that collecting of badges instead of it being like, is this really what makes me happy? And I think now at this stage of my life, and this has been a part of my spanking journey too, it's like the things that bring value to me. Like I'll never, there was no award, no degree that was ever going to give me the feeling of acceptance and that I craved.
Right.
And that's what I've gotten here, where I go, those things, like, yeah, I'm proud of the things that I did. And knowing what I had to do to like get through those without any help, support, medication, it's something I'm proud of, but it's also not what defines me. And I think being here and being able to be my authentic self has helped me a lot to kind of get to a place where I can put my energy in the things that matter, like spanking.
Yeah, that's what matters.
So speaking of, a couple of things I want to talk about, make sure we touch on, is how spanking and scenes are different for neurodivergent people, the things that you should really think about negotiating and talking about, and as a top, like going into it with a neurodivergent person, and then aftercare for neurodivergence.
Yes.
So those are the two things I really want to make sure we hit before we run out of time.
Because I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
So
we're talkers.
We're doing okay.
We're doing good.
It's not as late as they thought, but I do want to hit those things.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here and talk about it, because I think, like I said, we have a lot of folks in this community that kind of fall into some of these buckets, and it does change what you need. I mean, and everybody's different, and I always joke, we've all got different spices in our neurospice cabinet, so different things. Different people need and want different things. So having those conversations is always key. I think, that's one thing that I really love about this has helped me in my vanilla life, is that communication is like direct, clear communication is a vital part of what we do and how we play. And, being able to ask for those accommodations, being able to ask for those things has helped me be able to ask for them in my real life.
Yeah, you have to learn to advocate for yourself. And I've always been someone who struggled with conflict. And I mean, I'm better than I was in my younger years, but I would definitely say gaining confidence, in the kink world and being able to speak up for yourself really does help translate to
it. Does. And I think, when I play, and again, I'll speak for myself, but I think there's some lessons here. It's, for everybody. And obviously I'm a bottom, so I'll talk about them from the bottom side, but I think they're kind of vital parts of a negotiation. Is like, your physical comfort, of course. Like certain people, like I said, my sensory stuff tends to be light. Tends to be a big one for me. So like I love playing in the suites. I like playing in a dungeon even when like it's dark, and like because I get bright lights really bother me. I like the kind of vibey sounds. So again, it gets late night in the suites, and it's just kind of like it's a little bit of music, depending on the
music
scene.
of our people.
Yeah, that's
the
what
music
we're
of our
saying.
people.
We heard that on other podcasts. I love that.
Yeah.
Just walking through the halls, like,
Yeah, I do like that, and I like hearing people. So I like to play in public spaces, because actually hearing people talk, and I fall asleep every night listening to podcasts and audiobooks, and kind of shuts up my own internal brain at times to hear. So I like that. Other people need more private space. So I think y'all have talked about that on one of your episodes. I think, public versus private play, right?
Yeah.
And so, where do you want to do this? Yeah, making sure, are there some people, like even just materials that somebody might be wearing? Certainly smells can be really overstimulating.
Well, like even before I just spanked you, you asked for a pillow.
I did.
I mean, it's like,
I need to hold something. Because I don't know why. I just need, that's what helps me like feel comfortable. So and those are things I'm learning. I'm like, I need my emotional support pillow or a stuffy or something to hold.
Yes. And don't be afraid to ask. I mean, like that's the biggest thing. I like I said, most good tops are going to just be like, yeah, sure, no problem. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
It would be a red flag for me if somebody didn't want me to be, again, I'm
no
talking
pillow.
No, don't be comfortable. Like, unless you're, like I said, unless you're in a disciplinary situation.
So wild. No, you're
someone
not
that you've got a dynamic
long-standing, good, solid relationship. I know,
but
the discomfort is needed for the discipline or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole different thing. But even then, I would say, like, they're, even, when I played with Miss Chris, and we've negotiated everything, of course, but it's like, she's very aware of what kind of sensory things, like, is this, like, I don't like things touching my hand and feet, like, so there's like certain parts of my body that I don't like played with, and it's not because it hurts. It's just that like I have weird sensory stuff with like I don't like to touch food with my hands and stuff. So like my hands are just really sensitive to different sensations, and it makes me gag. So so like there are things that are off limits for things. For reasons like
for
that.
me, it's like dirt. I don't know. I can't have dirt on my hands. Like when I played like baseball when I was like much younger, I would get like a little bit of dirt from the field, and I'm like, I just hate this.
I do that. When I cook, I'm like constantly, and I'm not OCD. Unfortunately, I didn't get that neurospice that makes me really organized, but I would wash the shit out of my hands when I'm cooking. I'll go through far too many paper towels, and I'm trying to be mindful of that. But I just don't like. I'm working on it.
She's a bouncy girl.
I keep them in business. So yeah, I mean, I think negotiating those things, and like I said, I think if you it goes both ways, but being aware of yourself too, and not being afraid to say like, yeah, it's a little bright in here for me, or I don't like that material. I'm not comfortable in this position, or I don't like certain parts of my body touched. I like for example, one thing I needed help with, and Miss Chris helped me with when we do more role play, but even in a regular kind of scene, I struggle with transitions. So one of the things that I need help with to start a scene, once I get in, I'm good, is I need a lot of physical grounding when I play. So don't just be like, come here and get over my lap. I will stutter and pause, like not because I'm being defiant or because I don't want to, but like my brain just gets stuck. We talked about this before, that's part of my problem is executive dysfunction. I get in these like physical stars where I can't move and I look frozen, and then people are like, what? I told you to get the hell over here. And it's like, no, you don't understand what's going on.
Right.
It's not me being a brat. It's me like literally being stuck, and I need someone to, can I touch you?
Yeah.
Just like to take me by the hand or the arm and pull me over and like physically put me over their knee, or to, I like it when other people like bear me, because I get stuck. I can get stuck there, and it doesn't look like what it is if you don't know.
It looks like you're being defiant or bratty.
And it's like no. I've had to explain that to people that I play with, that I need help coming into a scene sometimes. Once I'm there, I'm good. But if you see me get stuck, just know I do well when you can take me physically to the corner, give me instructions that are very clear. So I think speaking clearly.
Be dominant.
Yeah.
Come on, Tops. Be dominant.
Come on.
Sometimes it's like a little wishy-washy, and I'm like, no, I really need, that's, we talk about direct, clear communication is really important for many neurodivergent people. So one step at a time, kind of breaking it down and giving those clear directions, clear verbal stuff. I need physical help sometimes to do that. And coming out of a scene, I need help as well. Like, so I know we're going to talk about aftercare, but like even just at the end of a scene is a more vulnerable time for me. And like, I struggle to, if I'm going to have kind of direct aftercare, which I don't do for every little scene, but I enjoy usually, is that I need somebody to, again, kind of take me to wherever this is going to be. So it's like, or, if we've had an intense scene and I'm in that space, I may not be as verbal, which is a shock. I'm sure that's great for people who can get me there and just like, finally, she shut the hell up. So, but I need help to like say, bring me over here, pull me into your lap, or pull me wherever it is, like hug me, put the blanket. I call it my my hug. Miss Chris gave me a weighted jacket that I wear too. That's like,
I saw
yeah. And that like helps me because I like that feeling of containment. I like, I like weighted blankets. I like being held after an intense scene, but I cannot direct it myself.
Right.
And so I need the person and I need to have those discussions ahead of time that like, this is what I need. And I want you to like kind of direct the aftercare.
And a lot of people with autism struggle with physical touch. Like
Some
they
people
might
do.
not want like
Sass.
hugs
yes.
or anything. Like we've talked about like the importance of negotiating aftercare just as much as negotiating.
I'm definitely guilty of the hug. I'm like a hugger, and then like afterwards I'm like, oh whoops, I should have maybe
no. And I think that's really important because like I said, my needs, I feel the most sensitive right at the end of the scene. And this is again what I've had to tell the tops that I play in more intense scenes with is that like I need you to like keep especially if I'm not OTK. I like OTK because I feel safe. Again, I like that physical contact.
Yeah.
But if you're like caning or strapping me and the scene ends, can I touch you again? Sorry.
Yeah.
Like I need a hand, like I need
bring
quiet.
You back.
Yeah, I need
to kind of like
Yes, I need someone to hold like so I don't feel alone because I feel very alone, and especially if I'm not OTK or I'm not wrapped up yet, I need that minute to like soak it in before we move to do aftercare.
Right.
But I need that grounding moment and I need to feel it. I like to hear voices, so I like somebody doing the praise, saying like you were a really good girl, you did a good job, having their physical hands on me. But everybody doesn't like that, and I think that's so important. I've learned a lot about what kind of aftercare that I need, and that looks different for everyone. We talked about the love languages I wrote about, and I think this is, for me, a big part of the aftercare. So for some people, it's body doubling that they want. Maybe quiet, maybe talking in the same space, but not necessarily touching.
Like hugging, cuddling.
I do feel like in the spanko community, obviously, physical touch is kind of a big thing.
So it's like some people
but some people don't like.
But after certain scenes too, you may mean different things from different kinds of spankings, right? And like, I mean, I think that's what I've learned about myself too in my aftercare is that what I need and the communication part, aftercare, that's a big part of like how, we talked a little bit about drop before we started recording, that I've learned that the way I drop looks very different, I think, depending on what kind of scenes I've done, how I played, and depending on the kind of aftercare I have or I haven't received. And like now I know better and I can advocate and I don't drop in the ways that I did before.
Yeah.
Because I can advocate for myself better and then the people that I play with know kind of what I need, and that keeps me from kind of falling into those rough places where maybe I didn't get those little pieces that seem small but aren't small.
No, I totally get that. Because like we've talked before about how I've overplayed, and when I first got into the scene, I was kind of like you, like where I just like hit the ground running. And one of the things that like I dropped really bad, and I don't really drop. I mean, I'll drop probably after this weekend because it was so much, but like I don't drop a ton. But I dropped really bad, and part of it was just I felt very disconnected from the person because we flew home, like Dave flew home, and like we weren't talking every day, and like I really need that from like if it's going to be something that's more intense, like little party scenes and whatever. I don't need a lot of aftercare, but
right.
But that was like a whole big weekend, and then I was just like home, and I was like, oh, I'm like back to vanilla life, and I'm all alone, and I can't talk to anybody about this. Like
that's the hardest part. Yeah. And I think that's you're absolutely right. And I think to a certain degree, everybody needs their own things, but I think being aware, with neurodivergent folks that their brains work differently. So all these brain chemistries, and I hope you'll get a chance to chat a little bit with Miss Chris about some of that. Like my dopamine as an ADHD person, it looks completely different than it does in a typical brain. And so the way that I like what I get from the play and what my drop looks like may be really different, and my needs may be a little bit different, and they are. And now I figured out kind of what works well for me, so I don't drop so bad, even when I've had big weekends or intense scenes, as long as I'm able to communicate that. And, early on, that's a trial and error, but I also think being able to be really open with the people you play with. And I know tops drop as well. I don't know what that feels like for them and it's what their needs are, but it goes both ways there. And I think you're absolutely right. To me, I realized that the aftercare negotiation is critical. When I'm doing bigger scenes. And so it's like, it's the pre-negotiation and being really aware of some of the sensory sensitivities. It's the direct communication. And that goes during and after a scene, the aftercare, and just being aware that people are different.
Everybody's different.
But yeah, sometimes those needs, again, like, the body doubling people, some people really like that. They want to be around, but they don't necessarily want touch. There's, I said, good communication. I need that communication afterwards too. Like just to check in, like, hey, no, and usually for me, I get droppy kind of day 3 to 5.
I drop like almost a week out.
Yeah, it can be up
if
to a
I'm
week.
gonna drop.
Right.
It's usually like a solid 5 to 7 days later.
Yeah, this is why, and what I realize is that, like, I need that, even like I said, just to check in then, because what happens is my brain goes into those kind of ADHD spirals of like I replay scenes over and over and over, and I go into that place where I start to criticize, ooh, should I have said this, or I shouldn't have done that, or like maybe this person doesn't like playing with me, or like maybe that scene wasn't good for them. And so if I don't get some of that direct communication,
you think they're just
like I enjoyed playing with you, or I didn't, or whatever, whatever kind of feedback you want, but just I need to know down the road when I get into that spirally ADHD brain that somebody's saying, hey, just checking in because we had an intense scene.
Yeah, and I feel like
still.
There's a couple. So one, like, people drop at different rates. So like I feel like most people probably drop sooner than a week out. So like tops or people you play with, tops and bottoms, check on them a week later. Check on them.
I agree.
The next day, 3 days, 7 days. Do a few every couple days, and then regardless of whether you're neurodivergent or not, I just you said something about trial and error, so I just wanted to make a point. Like, don't get discouraged. Like, I learned a lot the time I overplayed. I wish things had gone differently, but I didn't run away from the scene because of it. I learned from it and I grew from it. So don't get discouraged in yourself, even if you've played past your limits or set yourself up to where you've dropped really bad or had not a great scene. Like, you as a bottom as well, you're still learning, you're still growing, and don't, there's going to be some trial and error, whether you're new to the scene or not new to the scene. Like, it's going to take you some time to really figure out all the things that you need, or your limits even, or whatever. Like, it's okay to give yourself some grace and take some time with that.
Some of the most helpful feedback, or one of the, I guess, the things that I've learned, and I attended a class actually on kind of aftercare. And I will say this, because I know this has also been going around Fed a lot, and it's a really good point, is that your aftercare is your responsibility. And I think that's why it's an important part of the negotiation, is that you have to know what you need. And if somebody can't provide that, is it something you can get from somebody else, or is that a deal breaker? Because I also think it's an important part of the consent process to say, if I know that this is going to be hurtful to me, or that what you're able to or not able to provide for me
isn't going to be enough.
Is it going to be enough? And it's not. I shouldn't be playing. That's not responsible play either. And like I said, sometimes we learn, but we have a responsibility to let the other person know, so that if they can say, I may or may not have the capacity to do this, or I can send you like 2 texts, but I'm not going to spend hours on the phone with you, whatever.
Yeah.
And so
like me, like my go-to is lotion, and it works, right?
Yeah.
You're cool with that.
Yeah. No, and that's...
So make it easy. Just be like, hey, you want some lotion?
But I liked what you did, and I would say this would be my other little tip here. Like I said, for me, I like when people show me what we're gonna play with. Let me hold it. Let me see it. Let me feel it. Explain to me what, like you said, like you did, this is a little thuddier. This one's a little stingier. This one's heavier. This is like, let me feel it. That's how I'm learning what the sensations are. But then I think, even in the aftercare process, of course you ask me, but then you let me see, let me smell them, let me look at them and how they feel. And that, to me, is really important before something goes on my body or touches my body.
For sure.
Well, what a great episode.
Yes,
a lot of
so
stuff we had.
fun.
Really loved having you on and hearing all this. And we appreciate it because you're the best.
Because I'm the best.
You're just the best.
Okay.
And if I don't, I will say it later.
I better not hear that about any other guy.
I enjoyed playing with you earlier, and it was great.
Well. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all.
So cool. Well, definitely go check out, if you haven't listened to all the podcasts by now and somehow you're coming on this one.
Go back.
Welcome to the team,
Go back and listen to the aftercare
go
ones.
listen to the other ones, the aftercare ones. There's some good stuff in there. Follow us on all the podcast things, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We're on all of it. And reach out reach out to us if you have
and
questions.
check out Bratty Scientist's writing about neurodivergent
Yes, that was the other thing.
languages,
Like we
which
always
I
say,
really wanted
read
to
the
chat
readings.
read the readings, which I wanted to get more into, but I mean, it's a lot.
We'll have to have a part 2.
I
Part
guess I'll have
2,
to come
just
back.
neurodivergent
we'll have to
love
have you back.
languages.
Have to have you back. But thank you guys so
Thanks, y'all.
much.
Thank you
and
so
thanks for
much.
being here. We will see you later. Bye.
Bye.